away. Lily leaves kisses on your collar. Lily, 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 stay. Lily comes when you stop to call her. Lily runs when you look away. Lily leaves kisses on your collar. Lily, 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 stay.
Yeah. Hello, sir? Yes, I just heard shots from 2718 Discontinuous Way.
Just remain calm, sir. I'll be there as soon as I can. 2718 Discontinuous Way, you said?
Yes, thank you, sir.
Don't worry, sir. Everything is going to be all right. I've got this under control.
Thank you.
Everybody calm down. I'm here to get to the bottom of this, but I'm going to need everyone's cooperation. I'm very sorry for your loss, sir. I'm going to need to interview everybody. Let me just take a moment to orient myself in this situation. Mom, guess what I learned in Calculus today? Mom? Mom? Derive this. Your mom's dead. Welcome. Ma'am, how long have you been a maid for Mr. and Mrs. Limit? About 15 years. Ma'am, there have been rumors that you and Mrs. Limit haven't been the best of friends.
I don't know where you heard that. She was a fine woman. A great woman to work for.
And tell me about Mr. Limit.
Oh, Mr. Limit? He was great. He's great. I don't think he could have done something like this. It definitely wasn't him.
Ma'am, who do you think committed this crime?
Oh, it had to be that lover of hers, Antonio.
Sir, I'm going to be perfectly frank with you. It's been rumored that you've had an affair with Mrs. Limit. Sir, I'm going to need to be even more frank with you. Did you murder Mrs. Limit?
No, sir, no. You have to believe me. I would never harm her. It's true what they say. We were having an affair. But sir, you have to understand. I may be a bad man. I may have been in the process of breaking up a family, but I loved her and I would never hurt her. I am no murderer.
All right, I'll take note of that. Sir, were you present during the time of the murder?
Yes.
You were.
Yes,
Are you
sir.
sure?
Yes, sir.
You saw her die.
Sir, she slipped right out of my hands. Mr. Limit shot her and she slipped right out of my hands. Sir, I'm gonna need a moment.
These are hard times.
Good day.
Sir, would you please describe what happened before you called me?
Well, like every day, I was just making my rounds. I went to the Jeffersons. I went to the Klondikes. And then I went to the Beebs. Miss Beebs don't want no milk that day. She turned me away.
It's a shame.
It's good milk.
Yeah, it's good milk. Continue telling me every detail you noticed.
Okay. So that devil dog Antonio saw him run around outside after the shot.
Right, I've heard about this Antonio.
No good soy milk drinker.
Sir, would you like to tell me what happened?
Well, I left the office early. I was gonna come home and surprise Scarlett, and I returned home to discover that someone had shot her in the head.
Sir, can you tell me everything you know about Antonio?
Antonio? I'm pretty sure this guy's been sleeping around with my wife for a good long time, and I don't know where they met or anything. But yeah, if I had to bet, I'd say he killed her.
And what makes you think that?
Well, just the way he was hanging around her and everything, getting a little too close, if you know what I mean.
I see. I'm gonna have to ask you the same question I asked Antonio, because he accused you. Did you kill your wife, Mrs. Lemmet?
I know you might believe that. I couldn't possibly comment. No.
Good evening, Miss Anastasia. Ma'am, this may be difficult to talk about, but is there anybody who you suspect to be your mother's murderer?
I hate to say this, but I think the maid killed my mother. She's always giving my mother weird looks, and one time she put too much salt on her fried chicken.
Is there any possible reason you could think of for your maid's resentment of your mother?
Well, I've never told anyone this before, but I think that the maid has some feelings for my father. She's always really nice to my father.
Alright, so
Detective Forensics just finished running these. They're on the Limit murder case.
right, thank you.
Fingerprints.
Ma'am, I hate to ask this, but there have been some speculations that your mother and a man named Antonio have been having an affair. Ma'am, do you think this possibly could have been a motivation for your father to kill your mother?
Definitely not. There's absolutely nothing that she could have done to ever stop his love. His love for her approaches infinity like a function.
Ma'am, I'm sorry if this conversation has upset you, but it's necessary in order to figure out who murdered your mother. I just can't do it. My 45 years of training have failed me. I'm gonna have to call in backup. Hello?
Detective Calculust here.
Hello? I need your help. My talent for reasoning is not enough for this time. We need some serious calculus here.
I'll be right there. Thank you for the call. I'll take it from here. Hello everyone, my name is Detective Calculust. I want you all to remain calm. Everything will be fine if you just allow me to do my calculations. Nice to meet you, sir.
Oswald Limit.
Nice to meet you, ma'am.
Millie the maid.
Anastasia.
At last.
I'm gonna need to ask you guys to clear the room while I sprinkle my Calculust. Sprinkling the Calculust will provide me with the information about the location of each suspect when the murder occurred. I'll be back in a moment. I just need to run some data through my machines. The Calculust has provided me with the position functions for each of the suspects. I need to speak to the milkman immediately.
He's right over there.
Milkman Vic has disclosed the following information to me. The radius of his milk jug is approximately 2 inches. He dropped the milk jug immediately after hearing the shot, and it instantly began to leak. The height of the milk before dropping it was 16 inches. As a result, the volume of the milk in the jar changed at a rate of -4 pi times the square root of the height cubic inches per millisecond. And because of Milkman Vic's supreme perspicacity, he noticed that the milk completely leaked out at the same time poor Mrs. Limit was struck by the bullet and her screaming was silenced.
These equations were produced using the information collected by my Calculust. They give me the position of each suspect in the house when the shot was fired. After examining the body, Detective Cadwell determined that the bullet entered Mrs. Limit's body at a downward angle. By taking the derivative of each position equation, and by plugging in 8 milliseconds, which is the amount of time between when the bullet was fired and when it hit Mrs. Limit, I can determine whether the slope of the bullet's path is positive or negative at 8 milliseconds. After performing these calculations, I see that the maid's bullet would be increasing, which means the bullet would have entered Mrs. Limit at an upward angle had the maid fired the bullet. I see that Antonio's bullet would have also entered at an upward angle. Ah, now here we have it, a negative slope. Mr. Limit's bullet would have, and did, enter Mrs. Limit at a downward angle. Now that's something you don't see every day. The man's killed his wife. Guess I better go burst some bubbles in the Limit household.
Ladies and gentlemen, I've solved your mystery. Mr. Oswald Limit, I'm placing you under arrest for the murder of Mrs. Scarlett Limit.
It's not what it looks like.
I know perfectly well what this is. Oh, oh God. Oh God. You don't understand though. I wasn't trying to kill her. I was trying to kill that man Antonio who she was cheating on me with.
All right, Mr. Limit, I'm charging you with the murder of Scarlett Limit and the attempted murder of Antonio Vasquez.
Well, that's all well and good, but you'll have to catch me first.